skydiving. Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Hello and welcome to Trudging Together with Dion Miller. I am Dion Miller, your host of Trudging Together. Welcome to our first podcast. Today we have decided to bring on a special guest. So, and Trudging Together, what we like to do here is we like to share our experience, strength, and hope. And one of those ways that we do that is by letting other people who I consider to be miracles, to come on and tell their story. Now, I want people to understand that this is tough to do, but everybody has their own story, and it needs to be heard, and it's important because everybody is different and we're going to understand things differently. So just listening to my story might get you somewhere, but it's important that we hear from other people also. So today we have actually a newly acquired friend of mine. Her name is Stefanie, and she's from Tennessee, and she's going to be sharing her experience, strength, and hope, and her story with us today. Stefanie, you want to come on? Go ahead and say hi.
Hi.
How are you today?
Nice to be here.
Good.
I'm great.
Fantastic.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. You're all right, Stefanie. So thank you for coming on and telling your story. What you have to say is important, and the whole point here is to get out of ourselves and help other people. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of where you come from, maybe what life was like for you a little bit younger?
Well, I was born in Pennsylvania, and my mom and dad got divorced when I was pretty little.
Okay.
And she remarried, and when she remarried, she married someone who was not very good to me.
Okay.
And he molested me from when I was 3 till when I was 9.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that.
Then after that, we had trial, and I put him in jail, where he's still in prison.
Okay.
And me and my mom moved a lot.
Sure.
We moved around a whole lot. So, and then we settled here in Tennessee, like when I was in 10th or 11th grade, and I've been here ever since then. And
Stefanie, do you kind of feel like is that something that you still deal with today?
Not anymore, but
good for you.
It's important to understand that it creates a hole that you need to fill.
Yep.
And when you don't have the right things in your life, you start filling that with all the wrong things.
Sure. Now I know when I was pretty young, I could always remember that hole being in the center of my stomach, the one that needed to be filled. Do you feel like that kind of maybe came from you growing up? Do you think that kind of set the stage for you to start using drugs?
Yes, very much so. It brought so much low self-esteem. I didn't understand. I thought, well, if there is a God, why would he ever let this happen to me?
Sure.
You know, it created so many questions instead of just accepting that, hey, you know what? There's evil in the world.
Yes.
And that's fine. It's not me. It's him. Mm-hmm. But it just, yeah.
Yeah, we still have to cope with those problems and deal with those problems. And, you know, when we get into drinking and drugging, a lot of times that can turn into other things such as anxiety, PTSD, you know, and other mental health issues. So
I had all of it.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm the whole kit and caboodle too, honey. So, all right. Well, why don't you? I'm gonna be quiet for a little bit here. I'm gonna let you tell your story about kind of give us a couple minutes on what it was like for you know, and comfortably. You know, maybe kind of what it was like when you were drinking or when you were using.
Okay. Well, it wasn't it wasn't always just like in the beginning. It was pain pills, and I had started taking them for migraines.
Okay.
And then I liked them, and I started taking a little bit more and a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was end up spending my whole check on pills. I remember it was. Do you remember that show House?
Yes, I sure do.
It was really popular then, and my mom, she would watch me doing this. She'd be like, "Okay, Dr. House," I don't think she understood. I don't think I even did until I didn't have any.
Mm-hmm.
And the sickness that comes with that it's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, the mental obsession, I believe, is what you're talking about.
Yeah. But from there, things, once you kind of are on board with one thing, you can get on board quickly with others. And from that to Suboxone to meth to shooting meth, and it gets out of control pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly you're showing the progression there of the disease, because that is one thing. At least that's my opinion, that that this is a disease that we're working with, and gosh, I'm so sorry, but it seems like drugs and alcohol take women a lot quicker than it takes men too. Do you kind of feel like that was your experience?
I mean, it just, it went from doing it to making it, to selling it and doing even more of it. Yeah. And it consumed my whole life. It's a whole lifestyle.
Yeah. That's exactly it. It is a lifestyle. And I've never, and I like the way you put that, because I've never really thought of it that way, that it is, that is exactly it. It is a lifestyle. My life was consumed with either wanting to drink, looking for the drink, stealing money to get the drink, conniving my wife, convincing my children I was doing the right. It just it's all you ever do and think about. And it's horrible. It's a vicious cycle. And so, what was it like for you towards the end? For you, were you going in and out of treatment? What, you want to kind of cover that a little bit?
I had gotten in trouble and gotten indicted. Somebody had wore a wire on me selling them drugs, and I went to jail, made bond, and I had some time between that and my next court date, and I was just like, man, I got to get it together. I don't know, every time before I'd gotten out of jail and I'd probably made it to like a quarter mile down the road to the closest hotel, and I'd be high again.
Yep.
I just thought I got to do something different, and I need God in my life. I need rehab, because I had never been to rehab.
Okay.
So when I turned myself in, I talked to my lawyer, and we made a plan that I would go to this rehab called the Love Lady in Alabama.
Okay.
So first I went to jail for a couple months, and then they furloughed me out to that rehab for 9 months. I was just exhausted with it. It didn't matter how much I had. It didn't matter how much I did. I was still just exhausted every day and miserable, hopeless.
Yeah, and you kind of got to the point where you were sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Well, yeah, and I would do so much, and I would be like, this should kill me. Why can't I just die?
Yes, I do know. I understand that. This disease can get to the point, whether it's drugs or alcohol or really any kind of addiction, but these seem to be a little bit harder because they're mind altering also. But there were nights when I would go to sleep thinking, God, why don't you just let it end? I can't do this anymore. And I would pray that I just didn't wake up the next day. So Stephanie, what happened in particular to you? Was there a point in time where you said, okay, this is a situation and that's enough? Was it the jail time that you were looking at? Was it losing kids and family? Or what happened to you that made you decide this was no longer acceptable behavior for you?
It was getting ready to turn myself in for that. I was like, I have got to stop this. If I go to prison for this, I will miss the rest of my kid's childhood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he'll be over 18 when I get out. Just had to, I don't know, I just had this need to do something different, and I wasn't sure how I was going to do it because I know I can't do it, not in my own strength.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, we get to a point where, and I call it the hopeless variety, where we're beyond human aid, and something bigger than us needs to step in and take over. And in this case, for you and I, that would be God.
Yeah.
So you're facing jail time. Now I'm pretty sure that since you had decided that you were going to get some kind of treatment, get your life together, I've been doing this long enough that I know that judges will usually accept other things because you're trying to get your life together. So, so you went into jail. You accepted responsibility for your actions, which is a fantastic start. But obviously, some kind of miracle happened because you're talking to me and you're not in jail.
Oh yeah. So I had court, and they give you a court-appointed lawyer. And I told him, I was like, I really want to go to this rehab called the Love Lady. I need to go. So, but the judge was like, we're not going to send you right away. We want you to stay here and dry out a while.
Yeah.
So I sat there for 3 months, and on April 25th of 2018, they let me go to Alabama.
Wow. So you were looking at some serious jail time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty. You're in pretty deep if the cops are wiring you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have to say that things were probably kind of out of control.
Yeah.
Now, I know that because you and I talked a little bit before we came on too, and I always talk with people that because I'm an AA member, and of course I have to say I don't speak for AA, blah 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 blah. So, but I also believe that there's other routes you can go. There are several different places that you can go. You went through, and still are, from my understanding, in Celebrate Recovery.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Fantastic. Why don't you tell us, so now that we know what your life was kind of like and what happened, the transition there, why don't we talk a little bit about Celebrate Recovery and what your life is like now? What kind of work did you have to do in order to get to the freedom you have now? Because you and I are free to do what it is that we want because we follow God's will. So God bless that. So why don't you delve into maybe some of the work you did, what your life is like now, kind of what you do now?
Okay. Well, it started with my thinking. I had to let go of the chip on my shoulder that I had from being abused.
Sure.
And from my mom being however my mom is. I had to realize that everything going on is not your fault, and your fault. It's it's me. You're not the problem. I'm the problem. And when I realized that and started working on that, not to be a negative person, don't complain, things like that. And really just trying to, live by the fruit of the Spirit, to be happy, peaceful, honest. That helped a lot. That helped everything. And when too, that because I don't think I ever knew really until these past 2 years that that God loves me. I kind of thought he was
Yeah.
mad at me. And after, when he caught up with me, boy, I was going to get it.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's not like that.
No.
He loves me.
Mm-hmm.
Just as much on my worst day as on my best day.
Yeah, that's
And
fantastic.
he's not mad at me. He's not mad at anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That helped a whole lot. So I did that. I volunteered at the Hope Center where I live.
Sure.
There's so many.
Service work.
Just get out of yourself and get into someone else's,
I do. Yeah, I think on my worst days, I think the best thing for me to do is help somebody else.
Yes.
And we get into the program, whether it be AACA, Celebrate Recovery. Some people go to church. To me, it doesn't really matter which route you go. It's doing the work that matters. Taking, we do take responsibility for our actions, but I think accountability is probably a better word for it. Because when it comes down to it, our drinking and drugging wasn't our fault. We couldn't help ourselves. We had to fill that hole in the middle of our stomach, and we only knew one way to do it.
Yep. And those things only work for a little while.
Yeah. And they cover it up. I remember the first time that I drank and I became instantly popular and that hole in my stomach went away. But
yeah.
Gosh, that only lasted for a couple of years and I was still pretty young. So then we continue on with that behavior and constantly looking for the thing to fill that hole in our stomach. And then we never find it unless we choose to turn around and accept God into our lives.
Yes.
I really truly believe that.
I do too.
So what's it like for you today? I mean, I'm sure you've become a different person, your family, you probably got your kids back, things like that. Where are you at with all that?
Well, I'm good. For the most part, my mom trusts me again.
Wow.
I live with her and stay with her. My son lives there. We don't fight, but also that's my choice too.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose how you react to people, and I will not.
And yeah, but I think that comes with a little bit of time. We get some serenity in our lives, and then we can start acting with life instead of reacting.
Yes.
Where somebody does something, I'm not quick to pass judgment anymore, because we live our lives in kindliness, tolerance, and love, and we try and even our worst day. You and I are in a position where God has decided that we need to help other people. And I thank God every day that He's, put me in that position, and it lets me do things like get to know people like you, and to let other people know that no matter how far down the scale you've gone, you can be a miracle and you can come back.
Oh yeah. I mean, I went from, because I was fairly normal. Graduated high school, went to college, got married, and I went from that and working to drug dealing, making felon.
Okay.
And now I'm working full time again. Mom again, having a lot of restoration in my life. Mm-hmm. So it can be, if I can do it, anybody can.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's nice. I understand. I really do understand the trust thing, because we are definitely not trustworthy people when we're using.
No.
We can't even be trusted with our own selves. I mean, heck, when I got sober, I wasn't even very good at showering and taking care of myself. So, God gives you and I the chance to be able to, because people talk a lot about like the 9th step, and that's making amends. And they tend to think that what we do is we run all over the place saying sorry to everybody, but that's not what we do. I'm not going to apologize for me loving God. So right. I don't apologize for that. But what I can do is every day be the best person that I can and be the example to my children and my grandchildren. And that's my apology, is change behavior.
Right.
Man. And then that trust comes back. Feels neat, doesn't it?
Oh, it's pretty good.
Yeah. And it could be even something so small. Hey, can you watch my dogs for the weekend? You know, and hey, you know, my sister dropped by at one day when I got sober. I was about a year sober, and she asked me to watch her daughter, who's autistic. And you know, so those little trust levels that come along are great. So the way that it's sounding is your mom or any of your other family, not necessarily in recovery, but maybe getting help for, you know, the behavior in the family that was going on?
I'm really the only, you know.
So you're the living example in the house.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, okay, I've found that in recovery, once the alcoholic or addict has gotten to a certain place, everybody kind of just needs to leave them alone. Because we need to have a chance to either fail or succeed, and we need to do it by ourselves. And it sounds like you got that chance. Maybe I think your mom's just a lot smarter than you and I, you know, in this sense anyway. You know, she probably did her own growing in a different way, which is fantastic. And it sounds like you got that chance. You know, you have to be given the chance to be trusted or to fail.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're going to fail, but that's okay today.
Yeah.
So, well, Stefanie, I really appreciate you being on with us today and sharing.
It.
Go ahead.
I was going to say thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, no, yeah, you kind of pulled me. Yeah, I had some other people set up, so you kind of saved me on this one. But I also believe that nothing happens in God's world by mistake.
That's right.
So, you know, us doing this together and sitting down is making some kind of effect somewhere.
Yes.
And it's going to help. If it helps one person, then you and I have done our job. You know.
That's right.
So, and what everybody just got to hear is pretty much an AA meeting. This is how we talk at AA. You know, this is what we do, guys. Or let's call it a recovery meeting, since you went to celebrate recovery.
Yes.
You know, would you mind sharing how much time you have?
It's 20 months. It'll be 2 years on February 14th.
Wow, that is fantastic. So not only do you get to celebrate love, you get to celebrate love. So that is awesome. Right. Yeah, a year and a half is a long time. But
it is. Yes.
A week is a long time. I celebrate people that have a day more than I do people with years. But really what it all comes down to is this. Whoever got up first this morning has more sobriety. That's the way I see it.
There you go.
Yeah. I got up at 9, so everybody here probably has more sobriety than me. So, all right. Well, thank you very much for being on. And keep plugging away. Keep helping people. What you do and telling your story makes a difference. And I know that sharing this is very hard to do, and few people are actually willing to do it. So give yourself a pat on the back for this one. Just don't break your arm doing it, you know?
We can only keep what we have by giving it away.
That's exactly it. And you can't transmit something you haven't got. So if you want to give somebody something, you got to go find it first.
There you go.
I think that's a great way to end, Stefanie.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have a fantastic day.
You too.
And thank you for being on.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, everybody. So we got to hear Stefanie's story here, and it's important that everybody, you know, not that everybody shares their story, but it's just proof that what you do, what you say every day has an effect on other people. When I was drinking, I found that no matter how far away I went, my alcohol, my drinking still affected other people, no matter how far I ran away. Well, the same goes true for recovery. It doesn't matter how far I run away, God's going to put somebody in my life that is going to either help me or let me help them. And that is because I choose to stand in the sunlight of the Spirit today and not go running around self-will run riot thinking I know what's best for everybody. So I appreciate everybody coming on and listening. I look forward to having more guests on. So thank you for stopping by. Have a fantastic day. My name's Dion Miller. I love you all. Peace out and have a day.